we go. All right, so I wrote down a list of the best coordinators, and we're going to take a look at the NFC East. The best offensive, defensive coordinators that are in the division. And I think they're more talented than what I thought. Okay? More talented. And here we go. Best coordinator. No, let's start at the bottom. The worst coordinator in the National Football League's NFC East is Sean Desai. And to use a Yale line, TBD, fair enough. TBD, to be determined. I don't know either. Well, if it's TBD and I don't know, the experienced guy always gets, okay, always gets put behind and doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. Desai's the worst defensive coordinator in the NFC East compared to these other guys. Giants, Don Martindale, he's a better coordinator. He's got a better resume. He's had more success. Well, we don't know about Sean Desai. Well, then Don gets it. You just can't do this. Well, he's even with Don Martindale because he's never done anything. He's never been a defensive coordinator. So how can he be better than Martindale? Commanders, he's not better than Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio's got more success. I'm going to make a point here to you about your Eagle coaching staff. And the best D coordinator in the division is Dan Quinn. Okay? Dan Quinn. So, you have the worst coordinator in the NFC East. Let's go to the defensive side. Brian goes, come on, man. How could you name Sean Desai better than any one of these guys when he's never done a thing? What? Give me the rationale, Brian. Give me one thing that makes you think they're better than any of the coordinators that I just mentioned, that Sean Desai is. What, because somebody told you? Give me one. He was a coaching assistant in Seattle. So JM goes, so wait a minute. He is the worst coordinator in the NFC East. What was he ranked in the NFC West? He wasn't. He wasn't the coordinator. Here is the best offensive coordinators. Eagles. Brian Johnson. He's never been an offensive coordinator. Commanders. Number 3, Eric Bieniemy. Giants. Mike Kafka. Cowboys. Brian Schottenheimer is the best coordinator. So let me get this right. The Philadelphia Eagles are going into this season with the worst coordinators. Wait a minute. I'll take that back. The Philadelphia Eagles are going into the 2023 NFL season in the NFC East with the least experienced coordinators in their respective conferences on both sides of the ball. Okay. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Help me out here. Am I wrong? I won't say the worst because that's an indictment that they're bad before they even get a chance to prove whether they're bad or whether or not they're good. It's not fair. We'll use the words least experienced. JM, he's right. There's no way to evaluate him, which means you're the least. JM, you just validated what I said. There's no way to evaluate him. You're right. You're right. And no, it wasn't the same as last year because both those coordinators you had last year were coming off a playoff run in the previous year. Steichen and Gannon were coordinators the previous years. So that's not true. Fake news, Ray. Fake news. Wasn't the same as last year. Proof is in the winning. What winning? They haven't won anything as coordinators. What are you talking about? Proof is in winning? Chuck, what winning? They've never had the OCDC headset on. What are you talking about? They're not able to be ranked. Okay. Once again, they are the least experienced coordinators in the NFC East. That's a fact, not an opinion. It's a fact. Future winning. Okay, Chuck. I'm telling you what you are now. Chuck's telling me what he thinks you'll be. I'm telling you what's certain right now. He's telling you a fantasy. Okay? Now, you could tie it all the way you want, JM. Your coordinators are the most inexperienced coordinators in the division. Both of them. Alexander, get this, though. I backed off. They're not, I don't know if they're bad. I'm not telling you they're bad. Quan goes, Sills is yelling at us. Bro, I'm Italian. I'm loud. You know this. Take a chair at the little kid's table. Just have a chair. Sit down and get a sippy cup. You'll be all right. A Happy Meal. Happy Meal, you know, with the toy in it. To keep you occupied until you can understand a little better. All right, Quan? It's all right, man. Just get a Happy Meal. Ask for the toy. Okay? I think it's I think it's like a little sundial thing. That'll keep you occupied for a while. Oh, wait, that's Cracker Jacks. That's right. I forgot. I used to serve those at Yankee games. It's all right, Quan. It's all right. Yeah, that's it, Quan. Quan goes that I'm a hypocrite because I said that the Eagles have the least experienced coordinators in the division. And he thinks that that's talking shit on him. Oh, no, my guy. Why are you talking bad about my guy? I'm not. I said they're the least experienced. Yeah, hey, Yale. Hey, Quan, just go get a compass, man. Play around with the compass, you know, or like the 8-ball thing. You can just move it around and, you know, give you some good thoughts and make you feel better because I know it's Friday. It's all good. Let's do the head coach. Oh, let's do the head coach here now. Damn. I didn't realize the Eagle coaching staff. I'm a little perplexed here. So you're not going to believe this. Here's how I rank the coaches and the head coaches in the NFC East. Wait a minute now. What would you guys rank Nick Sirianni in the NFC East? As a head coach, what would you win this? Okay? Michael, people don't put their big boy pants on when they come here. They can't. They can't handle it. Those are the guys that go and cry on the outhouse wall. This guy's mean. He's mean. Why is he mean? Because he tells the truth. Because he tells the truth. He clearly is worse than McCarthy and paddle boat Ron. Two. Got to go to chiropractor. Have a good one, 85. I wish we had Frank Reich on the staff. Oh, that would have been completely awesome. 2, tied with the Giants. Let's see this one. 1. I don't have time for this hogwash. I'm going to go listen to Hugh and those guys because those guys will wave my banner. I love it. Here's my list for the coaches in the NFC East. I got Mike McCarthy 4th. And this guy is the only guy in the division that's won a Super Bowl. He's the only guy. Because you want to hear something? I think there's a bigger question mark on what his importance is in the Dallas Cowboy locker room than any coach that's in the East. Dude, you had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and Dak Prescott, and you've won 1 Super Bowl with them dudes. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like, you had some of the better signal callers. You had some of the best signal callers in the last 15, 20 years, and you've won 1 Super Bowl with Favre, Rodgers, and with McCarthy, or with Dak. Tone goes, I say Sirianni's number 1. Sirianni has had the most recent success out of all the coaches in the division. McCarthy's had a Super Bowl win. McCarthy may be more decorated, but I would take Sirianni right now. Rivera has no results to show in Washington. He won a division title. Okay? He's got as many division titles in the NFC East as Sirianni does. Daboll needs to show more. Here's where I kind of agree with Tone a little bit. Ron Rivera has won a division title also in the NFC East. And he's been to a Super Bowl. And he's been in the worst organization running football. With all the chaos, he's actually been the most stable. He's been the most stable part of football that the Washington Things have had since he got there. He stabilized the boat from sinking. I don't know. I think that matters. I think that means something. He stabilized losing and the losing mentality. He beat your ass last year too. One of your best teams that you've ever had, he beat him with nothing. It's funny, isn't it? Ron Rivera beat both the Cowboys and the Eagles a year ago when both quarterbacks were healthy. I don't know. No results? Won a division title? I think Ron's done a hell of a job there. I do have Brian Daboll 3rd. I do agree with, you know what's funny? And what Tone's saying here, Daboll needs to show me more. Even though he did turn a losing franchise around and a losing situation around, Daboll needs to show people more. I'm not saying he's wrong. It's not a bad take. But Jalen Hurts doesn't need to show you more. Okay. Ron turned a quarterback around and a franchise around. Who do you think has been more accomplished in turning a Nick Sirianni walked into the best franchise in the NFC, the most stable franchise in the NFC, the winningest franchise since 2000. Was there any chance that Nick Sirianni was going to fail in Philadelphia? By recent history in the hirings? No. Nobody fails in Philly. Look it up. Since 2000, you haven't had a head coach with a losing record. That's environment. Brian Daboll walks into the Giants, who have been a train wreck for 10 years, and a quarterback they took in the first round, who they didn't pick up the contract extension on. I want to show you what a turnaround that is. So Brian Daboll gets the job, right? Brian Daboll gets it. By the way, Tone, those are great takes. The question was, who's a better coach, not who is better. Right. I think I agree with you. I agree. Well, here, I'm going to tell you what Daboll has done. So Brian Daboll goes in to the Giants. The Giants are not going to pick up the fifth-year option on Daniel Jones. They have had horrible losing, and everybody on the planet was saying that the quarterback and the roster's not good. In 1 year, he did so much to improve. Daniel Jones, he's now making $46 million a year. And the Giants made the playoffs. I don't know. You not only turned the team around and coached them to victories and the playoffs, you also recuperated a quarterback, a first-round pick that the previous regime and ownership had theoretically given up on. They weren't going to give Daniel Jones the money because they didn't pick up get this. Think of the money that the Giants could have saved if they had picked up the $18 million option. It would have been like a franchise tag. Instead, he goes out and Brian Daboll puts him in the playoffs, and now he makes $46 million, and he's completely overpaid. I agree. But that's Brian Daboll. If Brian Daboll's not hired as the head coach in New York, Jones is fired. It's more losing, and you're not going anywhere. That's quite a job in 1 year. But I am with Tone. What's the next chapter of this? What's it look like? Okay, how about this? He did what Ron Rivera did. Nick Sirianni, did he have to do some stabilizing when he got the job? You know, I'd say he did. You guys are coming off a 4-win season. The organization, though, was pretty healthy in what they wanted to do and the direction that they wanted to go in. Still, 4 wins are 4 wins. And there was a lot of question marks. By the way, Howie Roseman today, compared to when Sirianni got the job, I got to think, hey, Tone, let me ask you this. Has your opinion changed more on Sirianni or on Howie Roseman after the 4-win season, and all of a sudden now Sirianni was hired then, and you're like, who? There was probably more guessing than even when Andy Reid was hired. And especially with the general manager, Howie Roseman. What's he doing? So there was some bailing of the water out. Okay? The Eagles had to bail the boat a little bit. That's totally true. They had to bail. And they had to get some water out of the boat, and they did. They plugged the hole, and they moved on. And the whole Wentz thing, all of that as well. Okay? So he did have to. I mean, there was some of that. Isn't it funny? All these coaches in the NFC East had some repair to do on the organization and stabilizing it. Each guy is, probably the only guy in this whole group here in the NFC East that didn't have to do shit was Mike McCarthy, because Mike McCarthy has no say in anything. Mike McCarthy now being the play caller is probably the first time that he's had any decision-making in the Dallas Cowboys since he's been the Cowboy head coach. That's scary. At least now he's got some say in putting the offense together. And I'm going to be very interested in to see how that relationship with Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy, because it was a pretty frosty one with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy at the very end. Okay? It wasn't the best. I got Ron Rivera too. And I kind of pointed it out why Ron Rivera has been everything right in Washington. He's been a great coach there in a very horrific time. Transition from owner to a new owner, all the chaos that went behind the scenes. I'm surprised they were able to get ready for a game every week. You got Del Rio, and now you've been able to acquire Eric Bieniemy as your offensive coordinator. The only reason you get Eric Bieniemy in the building in Washington, by the way, it would not shock me that if there's any kind of failure in Washington, Eric Bieniemy is the next head football coach in Washington. You watch. If Ron doesn't win this year, Bieniemy's the new head coach in Washington. He's being brought in for that exact reason. Now, he was brought in by prior management. Will Harris have that same mentality with Eric Bieniemy and that same vision? Or will the new owner, after July 20th, will he want to go in a different direction? See, to me, I believe that Bieniemy was brought in to be the head coach. Okay? Tone goes, I admit I overlooked the stability that Rivera walked into, and still deals with. Yeah, look what he's dealing with now, because now, Tone, you got to figure what's the new ownership want. Ron's a good coach. Took the Panthers to the Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. I think Ron's a good head coach, not spectacular. Okay? He's a great D coordinator. Fantastic D coordinator. Okay? But all the things that he had to go through. I mean, who do you go to when you need a player? Who do you go to when your owner is unapproachable? Who do you go to when you got an owner who's dealing with a former president and emails about a racist communications that were going on in your organization, and you were being accused of using the Washington cheerleaders as prostitutes for advertisers? How do you deal with that? And Ron won a division title and has continued to build the team into a good place. Washington's still not a destination to go if you're a free agent. I don't think. I just don't. I don't have any kind of hope that Josh Harris brings any kind of winning to the thing. He has it in Philly. Hey, by the way, is it true that he owns the New Jersey Devils? Dude, the New Jersey Devils, they haven't been the same since Lou Lamoriello left. That's not Scott Stevens' New Jersey Devils. I mean, look at the franchises he owns. They're money makers for him. When I look at the Devils, is that Lou Lamoriello's? Okay, when Claude Lemieux and those guys played there, right? I mean, do you see that kind of franchise there? No, I don't. I think Lamoriello, where is he now? Toronto? There's no coincidence that Toronto now has turned around. Lou Lamoriello was the Devils. And he didn't think he was good enough, so he fired him. Or he resigned. I forget what Lou did. Then you got the chaos going on with the Sixers. The Devils are the Flyers' rival. He cares nothing for Philadelphia. The teams are just assets in a portfolio to him. I think he's a pathetic owner. He's a pathetic owner, and anybody who's sitting around talking Sixer basketball right now is a joke. You don't get my time until you put the time in. And if you know what, like again, this is why I can't do radio in Philly, because I would never talk about them people. Because if the fans don't give a shit, why do I? Why? Because it's seasonal? Kiss my ass. You don't deserve my airtime until you start doing the right thing. You're going to have to trust my process. Okay? You know what my process is? You build it, we will come. Not, we'll come if you build it. Okay? I don't give people time who don't care. Josh Harris and the Sixers, dude, turn on WIP or the Fanatic and they're talking about that stupid draft last night and what the Sixers did or didn't. Why? What did they deserve your airtime for? But see, then your boss comes in and tells you got to talk about them. It's not really genuine. That's why you don't have genuine radio anymore. Who in their right mind would talk about something that's such a failure? Hey, let's talk about the Sixers. Why? Why would the Flyers get my time? Ed Snyder must go. And the big rink in the sky must go, Jesus criminy. Dude, so here, this coming season this year, let me ask you how he's going to do this. Hey, Tone, everyone, come on out to Sixer game. We got season tickets for all you Philadelphia sports fans. We're building the best basketball team in Sixer history. Then he turns around. Hey, Washington, D.C., I am the owner of the Washington things. I am going to be an owner that's going to build a community team for you. This guy sounds like a politician that lies out of both sides of his mouth. And you cover that fairly. Why would I cover those two teams fairly when you don't treat your fan bases fairly? You're a liar. Hey, dude, I'll say this to you. If the Sixers were NBA champions or made the Eastern Conference Finals, and, right, Tone? They got beaten 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, and Washington or the Devils, those teams were like, so does he turns around and goes like this. Hey, New Jersey fans, the great history of the Devils, Scott Stevens, all the great players, Claude Lemieux that played here, Arnott who played here, all the great guys, man, I'm here for you. So he lies to 3 different cities and 3 different fan bases on a daily basis. The NHL fan in the New York, New Jersey area, the D.C. area, and the Philadelphia area. 2 areas where you can't bullshit anyone and they see right through you immediately. That guy must be from Mars. He must be from Mars. I can't tell you how diverse those 3 areas of the country are. Dude, Philadelphia is like a sandbox. The Philly fan base is like a sandbox. And no one likes shit in their sandbox. DC's the same way. That's their sandbox. There's all these little sandboxes up the East Boston. Then you got the stupid shit with New York. It's everywhere. Jersey hates New York. Jersey hates Philly. And see, when you're not like from that area, or you're not like, you don't understand, dog. 20 miles matters. Hey, dude, hey, am I right, Tone? Going over the bridge matters. I'm from there. That's why when people went like this, when the Chargers moved to LA, people went like this. Well, it's only an hour away. Well, my neck of the woods, you could be 2 minutes away. It would matter. Okay? It would matter if it was 2 minutes away. An hour and a half. Like the NFL was like, it's San Diego and Los Angeles. What's the difference? Oh, that just shows you have no clue what you're talking about. San Diego and LA are completely different. San Diego can't stand LA, but the NFL don't give a shit about that. They'll just wait for you to die and a new generation rolls in. Josh Harris talking NBA draft. Never in a million years. I'd rather talk about, seriously, I'd rather talk about a hot dog eating contest than talk about the Sixers and their incredible meltdowns. It's a decade of meltdowns. Hey, get this. Trading Embiid, Tobias. Why would it matter? This is why, now you see why Big Sills scares folks. Because that's how I do sports. You got to earn my trust. Because the people that watch me on a daily basis and listen to me over the years, I give my viewers and listeners what they want, not what you want. Not because we're now in the summer. So we must have to talk Phillies. Hey, the Phillies are okay. I like Dave Dombrowski. I know Dave long time. I know he's trying to do it. But here's the problem I've said to you about your Phillies. You'll never be consistently good until you fix your minor league system. That's why the Braves dominate you. That's why the Braves are the best team in the NL East every year. Why? Because they invest in the right thing, pitching. They don't give a shit about positional players. Look what they did with the MVP 2 years ago. They shipped them to Los Angeles. It doesn't matter, does it? They've always believed that. They don't care about positional players like Bryce Harper, like the Phillies do. They care about pitch. You know what shocks me? Dave Dombrowski built the Marlins with Larry Beinfest, and it was all about starting pitching. A.J. Burnett's, them dudes. And now it's about position players. Do you know what position players in baseball do for you? They bullshit the fans. Position stars like Harper bullshit you. You're not going to win unless you have pitching. Royals a couple years ago, the most boring team in baseball history, won the World Series. So you mean to tell me that team in Kansas City won the World Series? The Brewers have been great because of pitching. Come on, man. It's not that hard. But at least the Phillies try to win. They got to the series a year ago. But it's no shocker that they're not having a great year this year because they're not built for it. Bryce is having a power outage. Hey, you know what's funny? I saw somebody on IP put like numbers together and showed you how Manny Machado and Bryce Harper have almost identical numbers when it comes to the kind of, I think they were even drafted in the same draft, if I'm not mistaken, both guys taken in the first round. You know the difference between Machado and Bryce Harper? He owns a glove. And he's a gold glover. Brooks Robinson said a couple years ago that Manny Machado might just be the greatest Oriole of all time at third base. And that's coming from a guy who won 18 gold gloves. He is spectacular as a fielder. I mean, I think him and Nolan Arenado, I think Arenado's numbers are blown up because a lot of them were up at Coors Field. Man, he's a spectacular player. Yeah, but Yale, get this. Harper's got to hit because he can't field. He's never been looked at as a defensive guy. Machado's arguably the best third baseman in the game. Him and Arenado are the best third base gloves we have in baseball. Come on, man. And Sixers. NBA draft. Dude, you can't be dumber to talk about a team that doesn't give a shit about you and nor the owner. I don't get that. I don't mean to rant like that on you. But do you think Josh Harris really gives a shit about the Philadelphia sports fan? He cares you buy tickets. He doesn't want it. Putting a good product on the court for you. Never trade Embiid. Because you know why? He's a bullshit artist, which means this. Well, we got Embiid. He turns the turnstiles. The teams in Philadelphia right now, you got two dudes that turn turnstiles and not winning. Phillies and Sixers. If you took those two teams off, if you took those two dudes off those two teams, no one would go to games. You're not winning. You took those two guys off the teams, no one would go. No one would go. You took Jalen Hurts off the Eagles, you'd have 70,000 fans at Lincoln Financial, whether Jalen's there or not, because they trust that organization to get it right, because they have. That's who you cover. That's why somebody always goes, hey, Sills, National Football Show. Yeah, because, 90% of my content is Eagles. Why wouldn't it be? They win. I cover winners. Hour number 3, we're going to reset. Keep it here on the National Football Show.